anyways. So far my plans right now are probably, if I get any grants, I'll go to Cal Baptist, and if I don't, then RCC, then transfer to Cal Baptist. And hopefully I could be an English teacher, and that's something that I realized that I wanted to be actually this year, because one of my teachers was an English teacher, and he was very inspirational to me. Also, I was in the spiritual aspect of my life. God's been putting on my heart that I should be doing also as a leadership role. So I decided that along with becoming an English teacher, I would be a high school pastor.
Oh,
that would be something. The reason why I wanted to be a high school pastor was I enjoy working with the youth, especially recently I got a chance to work with the youth. It's a less formal role, I would say. I could be more laid back and myself. But what are you gonna do? My experiences of high school was a lot of things, but all I could say from high school is that it's a really scary place, especially for a Christian. They have, especially your peers, they have a lot of expectations for you. You have to think a certain way. You have to do a sport. You have to be good at something. They don't take account for the spiritual aspect of your life. And in reality, no one cares. That's the whole hard truth. There's really a rare person at high school or even a teacher who will actually share that interest with you, that the same interest with God, and who will support you in that. As you know, I was in water polo in high school, and there wasn't that many people who actually shared that same interest with me. They would try to influence me to think you'd have to date a certain amount of girls, to do a lot of things. I did make a lot of mistakes in high school. I mean, we're all human, you know. But I would love to thank God for the mistakes I've made, and mainly because I've learned from them and I've become stronger through it. It's almost like when you're driving, if you crash your car because of a certain mistake, or if you get a ticket, you could avoid getting that ticket, or you're more aware of getting out of the accident. Or even if you break a bone, when it repairs, it becomes stronger. So that's a good way of how I thought of things. Along with being in water polo, I've never got a lot of support from my teammates or my fellow classmates with my lifestyle as a Christian. And over time, my heart became hardened and calloused to God. I wouldn't ask him for what his will wants for me. I would think that I have this under control and that I know what I want. Especially during my junior year, people would ask me the question that would scare a lot of us: what do you want to do with your life? I thought, I have no idea what I want to do. So I just picked the thing that sounded the coolest or like the most professional. And I said at first I wanted to be a psychiatrist. And I thought, yeah, I could be a psychiatrist, I'd be pretty good at it. But over time, I've been really praying about it, and I came up with that. And ironically, now my mom wants me to become a psychiatrist. And before, she was like, oh, you might want to pick something with more opportunity. What are you going to do? What I want to share from my experience of high school is for both the youth and for the adults. And it's really weird for somebody who's younger than a parent who has no idea of being a parent to give advice on being a parent. But for the youth, never be afraid to stand up for God.
Amen.
One verse that always stuck to my heart was Romans 1:16, and it says to never be ashamed. No matter who you hang out with or who your major influences are, you have to choose who you're going to hang out with, who's going to be your influence. You have to be careful on the decisions you make. And also for the parents, it's crucial to be more involved with your kids, especially when it comes to church. For the fathers, whenever you go to church, will you ask your kids what they thought of the sermon? Will you ask them what they've been reading lately in the Bible? What stands out? What conflicts their heart? Unfortunately for me, I never got that. And it was tough. But thank God that I had an amazing brother. I'm proud. I'm really proud of him. I'm happy that I could look to him as a father figure. I want to thank my mom because she's always been there for me. So, I'm not only asking, I'm pleading to the parents to be careful how you raise your kids. Be more involved with them spiritually. Ask them what they've been struggling with. Who's been bullying them? What sins they've been struggling with? What God's been putting on their heart. Because if you don't do it now, it could be too late. I want to thank everyone for their support. I want to thank my uncle, Emil, for helping me with stats class. It's very crucial to raise your kids in the right way. Because for all you know, they could be the ones who fall away from God. I want to thank God for everything that I've been through, that I'm still growing as a strong Christian. And one more thing, I want to thank Pastor Daniel for consulting me about my baptism. And I want to thank him for giving me advice as I was growing up. Just like Uncle Emil said, God has a plan. And especially now that America, a government that was solely based on Christian beliefs, has fallen short. Excuse me, has fallen short of that.
especially now since in all 50 states gay marriage is legalized. Now is the time where the true Christians are set away from the false ones. And we have to be careful about that. God bless everyone.
Amen.